You're watching the Fantasy Football Bros podcast, the show that'll keep you from coming in last. Now, here's your hosts.
Hey, welcome in, everyone. I'm your host of this beautiful podcast called the Fantasy Football Bros. This is our first episode, and I am joined here today by my brother, JD. He is like a brother, no, but that's his brother. So we're all bros, and we wanted to make a show where we can talk fantasy with you guys. So I wanted to make sure and introduce ourselves, and if you guys can introduce yourselves and tell us who your favorite player is in football. So let's just break the ice a little bit.
I'll go first. Okay, so I think all of us have that special guy that you draft in the late rounds, right? And you kind of nurture him. You're like, oh, this guy's gonna be good. That for me was Darren Waller. I remember seeing an article just all the coaches kind of raving and talking about how good he was, and I picked him up off waivers before the season started, and he ended up becoming this beautiful man that just is tight end two on the year last year. So for me, that's Darren Waller for sure.
Nice. JD, who you got?
I'm going a little obscure here. I mean, I can't remember a better time than I think it was my senior year of high school. I was first time playing fantasy football, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I and it will show by this, but my favorite player is Tim Tebow. He led me to the promised land my very first year of playing, and I won it all, and he was my quarterback, and it was the year he threw that beautiful pass to DeAnthony for the win over the Steelers, and I can never forget that.
You gonna draft him as a tight end this year? He might be good.
I don't know if I'm gonna draft him, but he's gonna be on my team. I don't think anyone's drafting him.
Yeah, for me, it's very simple. Okay, it's Dalvin Cook. Okay, my first year in fantasy. Make this quick. I did horrible. Okay, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't draft right. I didn't draft no running backs. Second year, I came back, and Dalvin last year was a god, as most of you know who owned him. He we rode his back to victory, but except I was runner up in the championship. But that's my boy through and through. I have some of his merch too. So yeah. So today though, we wanted to focus and kind of give you guys an overview of each team that is in the NFC West and the NFC East. I believe those are the two teams divisions. Sorry, third time's the charm, that we're gonna focus on today. So I think Nick wanted to start us off. We're gonna start with the Rams.
You can't tell we're all a little bit biased about the Rams.
Yeah, a little.
I'll get my jersey.
But honest, we're honest fans,
Yeah. So Rams, it's definitely an exciting year for any fantasy owner of the Rams, because I feel like with the introduction of Matthew Stafford to the Rams, I think we can all agree that everyone's stock is rising. Obviously, guys like wide receivers like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. Definitely two guys that sure-handed are good to get you at least 10 points every week. And Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are a lot of those also high ceiling type guys where they're going to get you sometimes 30 or 40. So I expect a big year out of those two. The running back situation, obviously with Cam Akers going down, it's kind of open season, I feel like, for the running back situation for the second year in a row, because last year Cam Akers was injured, and then Malcolm Brown was an issue. And then you thought for a little bit Darrell Henderson was the guy, and then he goes down, and it was just a nightmare. It was definitely a carousel. But I mean, this year I think probably I expect them to ride with Darrell Henderson a little bit more, but definitely have those running backs that they mix into the group, I think is Jacob Funk, and I think they had Xavier Rhodes. Jones, excuse me. So I think those two are definitely gonna get some snaps, but I think for sure you got to trust in Henderson if I was to choose any of them. And then tight end group. I mean, we saw Higbee, go up and down. I mean, 2020 or 2019, Higbee was a beast at the end of the year. A lot of their fantasy leagues were won because of Tyler Higbee's resurgence almost. And then when people got high in him this year or last year, he, didn't have the same numbers. Gerald Everett was getting touches. So he was not someone to rely on. Obviously, there's a little bit different. The Rams drafted another tight end, Bryce Hopkins, who's a wide receiver turned tight end. So we'll see what that looks like. But I think, we can trust that Tyler Higbee is going to be a late round pick if you need one. But I'm not too confident on him.
Just to piggyback off of kind of what Nick's saying, Higbee is going to be a hit or miss. You'll sometimes see Stafford likes to favor his tight ends. In some of his seasons when he didn't have Megatron, that was his like number one receiver in Detroit. So it will be interesting to see how they incorporate. You will see, if you look at the past two, McVay kind of almost likes to favorite a tight end type formations. I mean, there's times where Higbee and Everett were sharing the field. So it will be interesting to see if Higbee can make that jump now that Everett's not there. And I believe Everett's now on with the Seahawks. And so it'll be interesting to see how Higbee responds to that. I would definitely, like he said, I would keep an eye out for Xavier Jones being kind of that young running back and all of that. Achilles injuries are nothing to joke about. And with Akers getting one, I mean, not saying that Kobe Bryant was still in his prime, but you saw what it did to Kobe Bryant's career. Different sport, but it's Achilles injuries. You never know how someone bounces back from that, especially someone who requires their Achilles on every single movement they basically do as a running back. Xavier Jones being young and being on a rookie contract, I can see the Rams in a year or two kind of going away from Darrell Henderson, letting him leave, and Xavier either stepping up as a 1 or a 2, depending on how Akers kind of recovers and all of that. And who knows? I mean, as a number 2, the Rams really like to kind of switch between running backs. They don't necessarily always like to do 25 carries with one running back. They'll sometimes go 1-2 running back where each person gets 12 carries, or sometimes if Xavier Jones gets a little bit better yardage per play, they start to go with him more in the game and all that. So Xavier Jones would definitely be someone I'd keep an eye out for. I agree with Nick on Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. You can never go wrong with them. They're going to get you 10 points a game. That's almost a guarantee. I would definitely have either of them on my roster. Robert Woods is going back to his college day numbers on his team, so shout out USC. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say for me, but like you guys covered it all. I'm a Woods guy. I had him 2 years in a row. I loved him. Did I trade him away like an idiot last year? Yeah, I did. But you know what? I'm paying the price now because I don't get to keep him. Stafford, I think he might be an MVP this year. You can quote me on that. Am I being biased? Maybe. But you know what? How come I feel like I'm talking like Stephen A. Smith a little bit right now? But that's the truth because he brings the truth sometimes, all right? Anyways, yeah, so the Rams, they're a team to watch. Their defense, you can pick them up too. We didn't really touch on that, but yeah, definitely. So now let's move on to the 49ers and cover them. JD, I think, is going to lead it off with talking about the 49ers, give us a little rundown of who to watch, maybe who to be aware of, you know.
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, the 49ers are a little bit of a hit or miss team. You have Kittle, arguably the best tight end in the league. You could do him or Kelsey. I mean, you wouldn't go wrong with having either on your team. Let's be honest. Either or is going to get you a ton of points in a position. The only other person I would say who would be up there would be, as Nick knows, Waller. Waller's probably in that 3-man race for best.
Waller the baller?
Best baller at the tight end position. But no, Kittle's amazing. You can't go wrong with him. I mean, 2 years ago, he set the record for, I think it's most catches in the NFL. So you can't go wrong with him as long as he can stay healthy and they fix that issue with their team. Question mark's going to be running back. I don't think they have Coleman there anymore.
What's new?
Yeah.
Tevin Coleman's on the Jets now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thanks. I actually didn't know that, so that's good to know. But Mostert's going to be injured. You can almost bank on that. You could put $100,000. You can. Yeah. The guy. I mean, we all know what he did in the playoffs. He scored 4 touchdowns. I think he had like 200 or something yards in that game. He's amazing player. I mean, if he can stay healthy, he's a great player. I can't see him staying healthy. And he's so small and just so petite still. He's not someone that's, unless if he breaks an 80-yard rush, he's not someone who's going to get the ball at like the 10-yard line and punch it in. He's just not that type of a running back. And so I would almost favor more towards the running back they drafted in the 3rd round, Sermon. He's someone I've been hearing a lot about, and someone that they say is a real sleeper, going as high as number 43 in the draft, but going as low as 113. He's someone I would definitely keep an eye on. If he drops in your league, I would definitely consider picking him up, especially if you're doing keeper leagues. There's nothing better than almost picking a rookie, because rookies have the highest ceilings out of anyone, and they're the cheapest because they're unproven. I mean, I can tell you as a James Robinson fan, granted they picked the Jacksonville, and we'll cover this later, Jacksonville picked up a running back. I mean, that guy was my savior of my team that last year. So nothing against Mustard, but I would definitely look at Sermon as a late round pick and pick up them. Ayuk's a baller. I would definitely look at Ayuk for wide receiver. I mean, he's someone that they don't really have a proven number 2, and he caught, besides Kettle, he caught by far the most balls on the team, like three times as many as their second best wide receiver.
Yeah. Nick, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's open season if you're looking to draft the 49ers. I mean, they were just plagued with injuries. It was ridiculous. I hope they have a new training staff, because they definitely need to be fired after that. But I mean, the Niners could be potentially one of those teams where a lot of people sleep on because they didn't put up the same numbers, and a lot of the projections have the people with the high numbers in the upper end of the draft. So I think you should definitely look at what JD said. I mean, Ayuk, we expect a big year from him. You know, yeah. Deebo Samuel, I mean, you can definitely draft him in the late rounds. Definitely someone to watch too. But one of these guys you can just kind of pluck. I feel like any one of them. I mean, even Jeff Wilson Jr. I mean, we all agree. We're talking off camera but you know, we don't want any part of that running back situation. But I mean, if you have a chance to draft him in like the 8th or 9th round, I throw your hat in there. So, but that's really all I have to add. And then obviously Kittle's just Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle's a beast. What about, you guys want to touch a little bit on the quarterback situation, what we're looking at we got Jimmy G.
I mean, like you're saying, I mean, Jimmy G, he used to be a decent quarterback. I don't know kind of what's been happening. I mean, he's had a lot of injuries, and I think they just don't maybe have the best line that they used to. I could be wrong in that, but it seems like he's just not been as healthy as he was seasons previous, and it shows by, you know, that's the only reason I'm questionable on Ayuk is it seems like the 49ers themselves are questionable on their own quarterback situation. I mean, you take a first-round quarterback in Trey Lance, but you're not even going to start him. I get it. Half the time you don't want to start them. You want to kind of mold them. But you're going to take a first round, and then you're going to tell the other guy to go out there and play his best. That guy is going out there. Jimmy Garoppolo knows that that's his position. That it's not even his position anymore. He's just there to kind of fill in for one more year until Trey Lance is ready, or whenever they're going to decide to throw him out there. So
changes the dynamics too.
He has no confidence. Why would I trust a quarterback to throw to my wide receiver when he's not even trusted by the organization to lead the team this year? And I mean, you can talk about it. I mean, injuries aside, they potentially could be vying for a playoff spot. They have that type of a talent on their team. I mean, defense alone, they're one of the better defenses. They're consistently a really good defense. And they have probably one of the best defensive talents out there. And so it just seems defense-wise, they're set for playoffs. Offense, I question.
Yeah,
and
mainly.
They're not offering enough for me to vie with Garoppolo being a good enough quarterback to supplement taking a wide receiver from them.
Yeah, so. All right, so I think we covered them well. I think that the one thing I'll touch on, I think in fantasy, their defense will be like a top 5 defense. So there's someone to pick. There's someone to pick because they're all healthy this year. You know, we'll see how long that lasts. Maybe they got a new trainer.
Nicky Bosa, baby.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Nick Bosa. Yeah. He's come for them sacks. Yeah.
Hopefully stay healthy, though.
Yeah, exactly. Stay healthy. But so the next team we're going to touch on, and I'll start us off, is the Cardinals. So all I got to say about the Cardinals is, what do they say in real estate? They say location, location, location. So I got to just say Kyler Murray, Kyler Murray, Kyler Murray. The guy is a beast, okay? He is a fantasy gold mine, okay? I don't know if you guys ever watch, well, you guys watch it, but like for the audience to watch, what were those videos on there? Bleacher Report videos, what are those called? Heights, something, what? Gridiron Heights.
Gridiron Heights.
Yeah, the Gridiron Heights. Those are funny. Check them out if you're football fans. Check out Gridiron Heights. They have like funny things with Kyler Murray, especially when he's a rookie and he's like because he's only like what 5'9". Yeah, he's a little guy, so like they'll make jokes. But that guy's a beast and he's just a stud. So he's someone draft him. Look, you're gonna have him. He has the great floor and an amazing ceiling. That's what we look for in quarterbacks. Great floor, amazing ceiling because of those running, because of those legs. But injury, something I'd be worried about with Kyler Murray for sure because he runs a lot. Those quarterbacks oftentimes get injured. Someone else is definitely on my radar is Chase Edmonds. Right now they signed James Conner from Pittsburgh Steelers, and so I think he will be their goal line back. But I think eventually, I'm hoping, because I have him on a team, so maybe it's just dumb optimism, but biased optimism. But I'm hoping that Chase Edmonds will be the starting guy eventually. I think in his time there, though, he's only had one goal line carry, so that is something to keep an eye on. But between the 20s, he's gonna get passes. He'll probably be on the field a lot, and get those. But you got to remember that Kyler Murray runs a lot. So when Kyler Murray runs, he might take it in the end zone, might take it, and that takes away from your running back. Yeah. Someone else, go ahead.
To add to your point real quick, Jimmy, I'm sure he had more design handoffs, but I'm sure just Kyler Murray just picked it up and ran. So
yeah, it looks like that.
Stat skewed.
Yeah, I was a Kenyon Drake owner too, so I saw a lot of things just like slip between my hands. Like these touchdowns you think you're gonna get. But I beat JD in the playoffs when one game when that happened. But yeah, so. Anyways, I think we just lost JD for a second, but it's all right. The next person I want to talk about, you're back. The next person I want to talk about is DeAndre Hopkins. And Hopkins himself is going to be a force to be reckoned with. He has probably the best hands. We talked about this earlier off screen. Best hands. Everyone knows that's obvious. Only thing to worry about is if he's going to play. Now, we don't get into politics on the show. We're not trying to. We're just, so we're just going to, but the idea is, though, that we have to keep an eye on that. He's going early, so you have to be prepared to lose him, so that's just something to keep an eye on. But, yeah, so what do you guys have to say about it?
Nick, I'll let you take the floor first.
Okay. What Jimmy said, Kyler Murray. I had DeAndre Hopkins, and mad respect for Kyler Murray, but he would take away touchdowns from my DeAndre Hopkins. And Jimmy can attest to this because he also had Kenyon Drake, which I'm sorry for you, Jimmy, or any other Kenyon Drake fantasy owners last year. That dude underperformed. Anyway, off the point. I think Kyler Murray is just one of those players that he's so good that he is going to frustrate some people if like we talked about Chase Edmonds, DeAndre Hopkins, any other type of Arizona Cardinals fan. If you don't have him on your team, you're going to just be a little bit upset with him. And it's just to test how good he is. But, yeah, I agree with Jimmy. I favor Chase Edmonds over James Conner. James Conner looks like he's heading downward trajectory, but who doesn't want DeAndre Hopkins? I mean, come on. That dude's a monster. But for sure, I think Jimmy kind of touched on some key points is the vaccination issue. I think JD knows more about the whole, exactly what needs to happen for unvaccinated versus vaccinated. So I'll let him kind of discuss that. But I think that's definitely something to consider when you're drafting players this year, if they actually are vaccinated or not.
Yeah, like Nick's saying, I mean, that's kind of, unfortunately, it's a big beast to handle. I mean, if you were a fantasy player last year, you kind of understand, 1 week, I can remember I was super hyped. Thielen was playing well. Thielen was getting me 15, 20 points a game. And then all of a sudden, day before a game, he's out for 10 days. I missed him for 2 weeks because, random COVID-19 testings. And so, as I don't know how familiar everyone is, but the NFL decided to implement where if you're vaccinated, you take 2 tests within I want to say a 24-hour time frame. They both come back negative. You're allowed to play that same day. If you are not vaccinated, it's a 2 test. They both have to come back negative, and regardless of it, the first time you test positive, even if it was a false positive, you have to sit out for 10 days starting that day itself. And so it's going to be a question mark on if I know, for example, we'll talk more about it later on, but Sam Darnold, it sounds like he finally decided to do vaccination because of this issue. He doesn't want to screw up his team. He doesn't want to mess up his team. It'll be interesting to see if this affects more players or not now that that's kind of in play. If Hopkins does decide to finally get vaccinated, he could be something that is, I mean, he's worth it regardless, but that's just the one worry that everyone has with these vaccinated versus non-vaccinated players. Nonetheless, Chase, when it comes to Edmonds and James Conner, I mean, I can't see James Conner taking over the first running back role. I know Chase Edmonds came out and said he doesn't really like the label of running back one. He doesn't really like that. But he's from everything I've read, he's gotten bigger, he's gotten stronger, and they really like him. They really like him as a just their number one running back. They really trust him, and it almost kind of showed when they started not trusting Kenyon Drake. I mean, Edmonds stepped up. I mean, it was Edmonds really just stepped up to the plate and took over that role. We talked about it last year, how he was just that difference maker. Last thing I'll say is AJ Green. We'll see how he does this year, if he can take enough touches away from Hopkins.
Yeah. All right, so I think Nick wants to lead us off talking about the Seahawks now. So, Nick, what do you got to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Kyler Murray, but Russell Wilson's in that same category. Now, Russell Wilson was amazing at the beginning of the beginning of the year last year, and I'm sure you were like kind of licking your chops. You're like, oh,
people kind of forget. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like Russell Wilson. Ooh, he's gonna MVP Russ, feed Russ. You know, like that was that whole thing. And then at the end of the year, he just started to kind of fall, and his numbers started declining a little bit. But I mean, I still think we all believe in Russell Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson's, probably top 5, top 7 quarterbacks in the league for fantasy wise. He's still, but I mean, something to keep in consideration is he's just not running as much as he was. And that's a good thing if you're a Seahawks fan, but not good if you're a fantasy owner, because obviously you want those big points on the ground. But I think that's something to consider. I think I would still take other running quarterbacks. Like obviously we talked about. I think I would take Jalen Hurts over him. Obviously Josh Allen. I would probably go for Lamar Jackson over him too, just because of how much volume that Lamar Jackson actually runs. So, but no disrespect to Russ, he's one of the best. The running back situation for the Seahawks too, it's a little bit in question mark. I mean, I think Chris Carson's definitely getting disrespected. He's definitely that guy, and he's a stud, and he's proven. But it's just a matter of whether he can stay healthy. Guys, like I remember, like we were all trying to hop on that waiver wire and grab, Carlos Hyde, just to block our buddy who had Chris Carson, who we weren't sure if you're going to play. And I think even DJ Dallas got in there a couple of weeks, and it's just whether it's whether Chris Carson can stay healthy. And if you get Chris Carson, then you better get Rashard Penny, because I think they're going to be doing committee type. I think it's going to be something like the Rams' committee thing. So we'll see what happens. But that's what I think about that. And then also, I mean, wide receivers, DK Metcalf. What can you say? I mean, I want that man on my team, and that's what he is. He's a man. The dude can fly. Yep. The dude is freaking huge. It's just not fair. Life's not fair. You look at like little guys like Cole Beasley, and then you look at like DK Metcalf, and he just, looks like he could just, totally just manhandle him. And I'm sure you guys saw some of the videos of just DK just
when he ran down that cornerback. Remember, that's classic. Everyone's seen that.
We're drawing a blank on the DB that he was bullying. I think it was on the Eagles. I can't remember his name. Darius Slay. Darius Slay.
Yes, Darius Slay.
Poor Darius Slay. Darius Slay just got bullied that whole game. But I mean, that's what DK Metcalf is. He's just a bully on the field. He just needs to work on his hands. Everything else, guy's golden. I expect him to take a big step forward again this year. So. And then Tyler Lockett, I'm not high on him. I think he's kind of the lower tail end of his career. So, but you know what? I love those guys, and I'm saying buy Russell Wilson, buy DK Metcalf. If you can get Tyler Lockett in the later rounds, do it. If you can get, if you have Chris Carson, get Rashard Penny.
Yeah. JD, what are your thoughts on the Seahawks?
I mean, I totally agree with what Nick's kind of saying for the most part. I mean, DK Metcalf, there's not enough that can be said about him. I mean, he is a young and for now, a poor man's Megatron. I mean, the guy has the size of a Megatron. The guy has the speed of a Megatron. The only thing he's missing is the hands of Megatron. And that's, out of anything you can do, that's the one part you can train or teach someone, is how to catch a ball better. As far as everything else, I mean, he's gifted and he's literally a natural freak. I mean, the guy is 6'5", 6'6", runs a 4.4. So I mean, he blows past. I mean, like you guys were pointing out, he chased down that CB or the cornerback, and I mean, it wasn't even close. Like, you could see him every 5 yards. The cornerback was running. Yeah, every 5 yards.
He's a freak athlete.
It was 10 yards for Metcalf. I mean, it's just, he's that type of deep threat that you want. Russell Wilson closes his eyes, prays to God, and throws the football 50 yards down the field. Metcalf, if he has the hands, can come down with that.
I'm pretty sure that's what he did one time against the Rams in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Just like threw it up to DK.
Metcalf almost got in the Olympics or something. He tried out for the Olympics or something.
I heard about that.
Yeah, because he's French. Right?
It's just not fair.
It's just not fair. Last I'll say, I mean, to Nick and Jimmy and everyone, like everyone's saying, Russell Wilson. I mean, you can't go wrong. I only said Russell Wilson twice because he might not be as good as Murray.
That's a good one. I like that.
It's
the legs.
He just doesn't necessarily get those running touchdowns and running yards that Kyler Murray's known to, and Kyler Murray has as good of threats in wide receiver positions as Russell Wilson. Now, he might not have the natural instincts of a quarterback that Russell Wilson might have, but it's close enough. And when you're talking fantasy points, if you play in a where the quarterback gets a point for every 10 yards he runs and all that, it's almost not fair to not go with Kyler Murray over Russell Wilson. But Russell Wilson can put up 40 points a game. That's all I'll say. He's one of those players, the ceiling's as high as anyone else's when it comes to the quarterback position, and the floor is about as high as any other quarterback position too.
Yep.
So.
Nice. Yeah. Before we move on to the NFC East, I want you guys to pick one player from that entire NFC West that would be like your pick. This is the guy. Like, you can only get one of them. This is the guy I'm getting.
Yeah. I'll go first on this one because, I mean, we were just kind of salivating right now about, DK, and I'm just going to keep that going, man. He's just that type of guy, and all of us were talking off camera how upset we were that we didn't draft him. We all at one point the year prior had him on our team.
Yeah, when he was a rookie.
I think JD drafted him, but I think he ended up being kind of like that player that everyone at least had on on your team. But oh man, I'm so mad that I didn't get him. Oh, I just But anyway, if I can get anyone, it's for sure it's gonna be DK Metcalf. But I think probably in terms of our best value that you can probably get, I'm rolling with either Van Jefferson of the Rams. He's someone that you can keep an eye out for. Yeah. I mean, even Bryce Hopkins, who I brought up, I mean, wide receiver turned tight end for the Rams. We'll see what that looks like. But I mean, I've always liked it when a wide receiver turns to a tight end when they're like big like that. So we'll see what happens. But I think those two things, that's I'm locking in my answer.
Yeah. What about you, JD?
I would definitely put Akers up in the running. I'm kidding.
Yeah, but he's so good. Though. He was going to be so good.
What a shame.
What a shame.
Top 15 pick.
Even worse for JD. JD had him on his fantasy team.
Yeah, you would have been able to keep him.
We're not going to talk about this right now. But no, I mean, it's very hard to go away from DK. If I had to pick someone, though, I am such a sucker for a quarterback leading your team. And because I had Kyler Murray and I know what it did to that entire team, he won me probably half of the games I won last year. I can't go away from my boy Murray. He's just someone that's gonna carry a team and get those points that you think you're going to get 20 points from him and he gets you 30 and you win by 5 points. It's one of those type of players that's just, he will win you that week.
Yeah. I'll keep mine short and sweet so we can move on here, but it's Kyler Murray. The guy's just a stud. The guy just does it all, you know. So like he just be like the one that's locked in, safe floor,
Really
amazing ceiling, safe floor. It's like that's the best fantasy value you can get for someone. All right, so let's move on here. We covered the NFC West, got that good, got that out of the way. Let's now move over to the NFC East, the most competitive division in all of football. You know.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah.
Maybe they could end up even.
What about
we go
the
from
football
the top
team?
two
Yeah,
competitive.
What about that football team, baby?
That football team that was 2 games under. Were they 2 games under 500 and still won the division?
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
don't even. That's disgusting.
And we're gonna start with America's team. All right, and I guess JD can start us off with America's team, the Cowboys. So JD, what do you got to say about America's Dak's back? Okay, Dak's back.
That's what I was going to start off with. That's the biggest question mark. Can Dak? I mean, we saw through the first 3 or 4 games of the season before he went out with his injury. I mean, he was putting up MVP type numbers, but still losing. So as far as fantasy, you drool for those type of games. Like those are the games that every fantasy owner drools for because they're putting up 40, 50 points a game, and they're still having to play catch up. Wide receiver wise, I mean, I can tell you because I had CD Lamb. That guy was
gonna be awesome this year.
I mean, he was their third best wide receiver, at least roster wise, and he was still putting up 15, 20 points a game as their third wide receiver. I mean, he's a rookie, so I mean, I would be surprised if he almost doesn't jump Gallup this year because he outperformed Gallup in my opinion.
Gallup.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
he
you
doesn't
go.
Gallup.
Yeah, so Lamb's going pretty high in mock drafts. Like I think
Amari Cooper's
round.
hurt right now, though. Amari Cooper, I think, had off-season surgery,
Did he?
so there's the worry with him. Just so you guys know, I don't know if you guys.
CD Lamb though, 4th round, a lot of mock drafts. So
Yep.
he's definitely projected to do better too.
I mean, when he doesn't have, I don't mean this in a mean way, but when he doesn't have the red rocket thrown to him, and he still he has Dak Prescott thrown to him. Like I said, Prescott's the biggest question. If he can come back to that type of season he was having last year until he got injured, I mean, that team is a team to be reckoned with. Prescott's someone I wouldn't draft probably. I'd kind of play it off, see how he goes. If he goes late enough, but he scares me just coming off of that type of an injury for him as a quarterback. I would probably look elsewhere. But I mean, you'd be so idiotic to, and I don't mean this in a mean way to anyone, but how could you not go for Zeke Elliott?
Yeah.
Zeke is their clear number 1.
He's coming back. He's bouncing back.
If any team has a more of a clear number 1 running back that they use all the time, it's Zeke Elliott. And with a line like the Cowboys have, where they have that type of depth at their line, if they can stay healthy, which until last year they had stayed fairly healthy. I mean, you're talking like Tyrone Smith and Martin. You're talking all these players on their team. Best line in the league if they can stay healthy.
Hey, you're not scared though about Tony Pollard though. I mean, at the end of the year,
I'm a little
Zeke
scared.
Elliott,
Tony Pollard.
I'm a little bit scared. I know what you're saying. He's a clear cut. He is their best running back, but Tony Pollard at the end of the year was almost better than Zeke Elliott. So
pick him up if you're a Zeke owner, or pick him up if you want to handcuff the Zeke owner, Tony Pollard. Because that defense is gonna. I mean, that offense is gonna be moving with Dak.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing. They weren't moving. They were still like Tony Pollard was more productive than Zeke, and they were still like he was still getting points. Some of the guys were even getting points with their backup, with Andy Dalton and stuff like that. But now that Dak's back, I think Zeke will be fine. I think he'll have a bounce back. I think he was just shaking up a little bit. Most fumbles ever. Let's hope it's an outlier every year. But yeah.
Got his contract too, Dak. Dakota.
Last thing I'll also say, I could be wrong, but didn't Blake Jarwin have a good season last year as tight end?
He did. That was going to be my sleeper for the tight ends for Dallas. I mean, they had some good play from him when he was healthy, but then got hurt. So he's one of those like tight ends that I feel like a lot of people aren't going to draft him high. You can probably get away with getting him in like the 9th, 10th round on a 10-person league. So
I guess I shouldn't say last season, because last season was the season he injured himself on the first game, right? I think it was 2 years ago that he had a fairly good season. He was supposed to get last year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, maybe think about getting him.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to the next team we got here. I'll lead this off. We got the Giants, and I'm gonna make this really quick. Keep Saquon. All right, Nick, you can take the Eagles. No, but seriously, there's Saquon. I don't really know who else I'd want on that team. Maybe like Galladay. That's probably it. But do I trust Daniel Jones? You don't want Daniel Jones. There's not much there. You might the running back. So if you get Saquon and then get Gallman if you need a backup for Saquon, I'd make sure and get Gallman if you do draft Saquon. The guy's coming off a ACL tear, and we don't know if he's going to be ready in time. They won't say, but I don't expect him to say. The guy's not going to play till he's 100%. I don't blame him. These guys are fragile. Their careers can be taken away like that. So, but Saquon is just a great value for fantasy. There's Slayton, and do they still have the other guy? What's the other guy? Sterling Shepard.
They picked up, I think, John Ross too, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Too crowded.
They have too many crowded. Average wide receivers.
Don't want that.
Yeah, they have too many average, and they're not going to be able to get fed.
Yeah.
So
don't want that. It doesn't even help too that they have Danny Dimes, who's last year wasn't Dimes. He was more like Danny Nickel.
Nickel? I like
or
that.
Or Danny
one.
Penny.
Darn to Nichols.
But I totally agree with you. I mean, Saquon. Who else? I mean,
that's it.
I guess maybe Galladay.
Their defense.
Their offensive line needs to get better, and I don't think they made enough moves to sustain that for Saquon. Me being a Saquon owner last year, rip to me. I mean,
the one person I'll bring up, and I want your guys' opinion on, because this is always the hottest take in fantasy football. I feel like, do you take a chance on Evan Ingram?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah,
I feel like he's always like one of those that's he's supposed to be so much better, and then every year he puts up 6-7 points a game.
You know what? Here's what I'll say about the Giants. I'm sorry, I'll let you finish or go after me, Jimmy, real quick. A lot of this year for the Giants is make or break for so many of their players. Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley, Danny Dimes. All these players, it's make or break, or the band's getting broken up. That's what I feel about it. I mean, you guys, I don't know. Saquon hasn't been what he was hyped up to be, right? Because they all hyped him up like next coming of Barry Sanders.
Yeah, all I have to say is to close this out here with the Giants is with Evan Ingram, you can take a chance on him. He's a tight end. It's a crapshoot. If you don't have one of the best tight ends, might as well try with him. You know what I mean?
Big three, right?
Yeah, exactly. The big three, exactly. Maybe four now. Hawkinson might be better because he's the only receiver on Detroit. But so I think that's good with the Giants. So let's see. Nick, you want to take the Eagles? Take it away.
Now, a lot of people are really high on Jalen Hurts, and I don't see why not. I mean,
for fantasy,
he looks for fantasy, he looks like the guy, but obviously, there's so many question marks with the Eagles. I mean, I feel like the one team that's kind of like a lock-in is probably like the football team. But I mean, I feel like so many question marks with the Eagles. I mean, with Doug Peterson gone, what does that look like? Does Miles Sanders get the ball more? Is Jalen Hurts? Do they really believe in him? Is Jalen Reagor going to be any good? There's so many question marks on this team. I think I'm not comfortable with taking really any of them other than Jalen Hurts with certainty that he's going to perform. I think Jalen Hurts will, obviously we see value in running quarterbacks. He looks like he's going to be their guy. Miles Sanders, looks like I did a mock draft. Looks like he's probably going to be in the fourth round. So I don't know. I think with Doug Peterson,
committee. They're gonna do committee probably.
Yeah.
I don't trust them. They love their committee. Somehow they brought Jordan. Sorry, I'm a Miles Sanders owner of last year, so it's personal to me. So, anyways, they brought Jordan Howard back. They got dropped by the Dolphins, and then they brought him back and started him in front of Miles Sanders for a couple plays. I'm like, are you okay? Anyways, but I digress. Nick, you continue.
Yeah, I think Jalen Reagor is going to be one of the wide receivers that I'm most interested in. But I mean, I don't trust anyone on that team. I think
what about the rookie? Heisman boy.
Oh, Devontae Smith. I mean, I'm high on him.
Yeah,
we'll see. A lot of people are a little bit skeptical of it, but I think they have the 1-2 punch with Jalen Reagor and Devontae. I think that they're going to you definitely utilize him. So
yeah.
And then I forgot the tight ends. Yeah. I mean, that's another crapshoot, another question mark. Is it Dallas Goedert or is it Zach Ertz. I don't know. I lean Dallas Goedert because it looks like they're trying to get Ertz out of there. So
Yeah.
if I'm going with Titans, it's definitely Goddard.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of talk a little bit about it, I'm very questionable on Joe Hurts, or not Joe Hurts, Jalen Hurts. I mixed in with Joe Flacco because I know they brought Joe Flacco in to kind of be like a role model or, kind of like coach him along. It's very hard for me. He's someone that I will like to watch one more year before I kind of make any kind of decisions on. He didn't play all of last year in the plays that he did come in. He played decent at times, and then at other times it's like the coaches didn't trust him and they didn't let him play. And so if he can get the trust, if he can get the trust of the new coach, Nick Sirianni, I want to say.
Yeah,
that's his name. With Nick, we'll see how he is. I believe he's younger than Brady. I mean, they're trying to do the same thing the Rams did, which is find this brand new, young and smart offensive coordinator to take over. And I mean, you saw how it worked out for the Rams, and I mean, they made Goff look like almost an MVP type player for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Like
who's making throws?
If McVay can do something like that and make Goff for a time being a franchise style quarterback at times, then who knows what Nick Sirianni can do. I don't know. I don't think he's quite the same level as McVay is when it comes to offensive guru, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see what he can do. I have always been someone that thinks Devontae Smith might not be someone who translates the best into NFL style play. But he's someone that if you can get him for a decent enough price, he's definitely someone, again, I'd like to at least consider picking up. I mean, like they said, he's a Heisman. How many years can you say that there's been a Heisman wide receiver? I mean, it's been forever since wide receivers really won a Heisman, and for him to be able to be the first to really win it in a long style talks about how great of a player he really is.
Yep.
Last I'll say, and it's the very last thing I'll say, Miles Sanders shares that backfield with Boston Scott, like Jimmy had said. So it's going to be almost like a running back by committee.
Boston,
and
baby.
And we'll see how that goes, because I believe they have Kerryon Johnson now too. So it's a 1-2-3 punch. Kerryon Johnson, he's not the best, but he's also still a valuable running back. Yes. And so if they're bringing him in, it doesn't necessarily make me feel like they really trust Miles Sanders.
Yeah. So let's quickly go through the Washington football team here. JD, if you want to do it.
So Washington football team, what can be said? I mean, they have Fitzmagic on their team, so I mean, who can't love the Washington football team? Besides that, they have, I'm blanking on his name, the running back for their team. It's is it Gaskins?
No.
It's
you know the boy.
It's
him. It's who I told Nate.
Antonio.
Yes,
Tony. Yeah, there you go.
I was gonna say Gibson. I was gonna say Gibson. He really showed himself last year.
Oh yeah.
He is someone that everyone in our league wished they picked up.
Yeah.
The second he was picked up and he started producing, everyone in the league.
He went in second round.
Yeah.
He's going in the second round. I'm saying now. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
He can do it all. He catches, man. He can run.
Yeah. He has that complete package. I mean,
if you're patient with him, you know.
Yeah. I mean, his backup is McKissick, right? So it's besides that, I mean, then you go down to McLaurin as their wide receiver.
Yeah.
McLaurin last year was hit or miss, and as much as I like to call Fitzpatrick Fitzmagic, I don't trust him as a quarterback. He's a journeyman quarterback. He can't stay on a team for more than a year or two. And if he truly is a good enough quarterback, a lot of these teams I feel like wouldn't move on from him as quickly as they do. You have the Dolphins last year had him, and I think they're now going with Tua full. That kind of worries me. I mean, you see the games last year. Tua would almost blow a game, and then Fitzmagic would come in, win the game for them, and then they go back to Tua. And so I don't know if it's just Fitzmagic being Fitzmagic or if it's that he actually is, but he is not. I mean, first off, I wouldn't pick up Fitzpatrick. I don't think anyone really should draft him. He would be, if he has a good matchup, you pick him off waivers. Yeah,
baby.
Yeah, but Terry McLaurin, I don't know. That's a tough one for me.
I'd take him.
I love Terry McLaurin.
I think Fitzmagic is
baby.
very good for receivers.
Yeah.
We saw it with the Dolphins. When he was in, the receivers were eating it over there. The receivers over there.
Devontae.
And when Tua came in, everyone was just like, it didn't matter anymore.
Yep.
Like it was just like you didn't want him on your team. So I think that's what he'll provide. And I think what we need to mention is Logan Thomas as a tight end. Okay, I had this guy at the end of the year. He was awesome. That's a quarterback turned tight end. I think he's going to kick butt this year because I think that we saw Mike Gesicki last year get fed when Fitzmagic was in it, when he's with his magic beard, rubbing his beard all over everyone and spreading that love everywhere. So the Logan Thomas is a tight end to look for because I think he's going to get the targets, he's going to get the opportunities, and I think and we got to mention that they got Curtis Samuel is now on Washington, so I don't know if I'd want him on my team, but he's someone to keep an eye out for, maybe like a waiver wire late round on your bench, flex play because. He's solid. He's a gadget player, how we see.
He's facing Vikings flex play. Just a really quick piggyback on what Jimmy's saying. I love Scary Terry, man. Terry McLaurin, I think he's gonna have a great year. He did great with these no-name quarterbacks, and finally he has someone that at least who's just
competent.
What's a gunslinger like
Fitzmagic. Gunslinger.
He's just gonna go ahead and feed Scary Terry. But that's pretty much what I have to add on that.
Yeah. All right, well, I think that does it for us today, guys. But thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on our show. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching the Fantasy Football Bros podcast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.